Good evening and Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to Clear the Ice, a Flyers post-game show here on the Edge of Philly Sports. With your boy, Matty B, on the call tonight. Flyers fall 4-3 in Calgary in an entertaining game that was really tight until the third period. Actually, it was really tight until the end of the third period when there was a frenzy of activity. Unfortunately, it was mostly Calgary Flames. They just seem to have more horses. I mean, let's face it. It's really... as good of a story as the Flyers have been, there's just no kind of getting around some of the very glaring offensive challenges that this team has. 0 for 4 again on the power play, another O-burger. It's getting comical. I mean, I don't really understand where. Well, I do understand where the problem is offensively on the power play. They just don't have the scores, and they consistently are wasting multiple power play opportunities. 0 for 4 again tonight for the season now. A dreadful 12 for 113, 10%. And that's not numbers that work at any level. So when you look at games like this, the 4-3s, the 3-2s, the 5-4s, and you look at the 0 for 4 on the power plays, I've said this all season long. If the Flyer power play had any kind of semblance to a workable unit, this team would be 20 games over 500. I mean, they may be challenging the Rangers in the Metro. They probably would definitely be in first. There's just been so much problems with the power play. A huge part of any hockey team's offense is just non-existent for the Flyers. And tonight was one of those games where a power play was needed in a very tight game. Good game, entertaining game. It had a lot. It had a bunch. And 0 for 4 in the power play just to me is not going to cut it. And it's been the story like that all season long. There was a bizarre sequence at the end of the game where Sam Ersson decided to remove his mask. I watched the replay over and over again. I don't understand why he did it. He got hit in the chest, and then he takes his mask off. Don't really get where that was coming from. That is a penalty for delay a game, rightfully so. I was looking for maybe there was some damage to the mask or was something broken, but you just can't remove your mask because you feel like it. It just doesn't work like that. And it was a delay game, rightfully so. Flyers protested a little bit, but it was definitely a penalty. But 4-3 is your final on this New Year's Eve as the Flyers close out 2023 on the losing side of things, and then they will wrap up this Western Canadian trip on Tuesday in Edmonton as Carter Hart goes home. And of course, it wraps up a very depressing Philadelphia sports day. But let's head over to the box score. Let's take a look at the scoring summary. The Flyers, as it has been sort of lately, got things going first in the scoring column. This night, it was Rasmus Ristolainen, his first of the year. Good to see him score a beautiful cross-ice play. He was in on the play. He is one of those offensively minded defensemen, and he takes a beautiful pass from Poehling to make it 1-0 Flyers, and that would be your score. That was at 9:44 of the first period. That would be your score heading into the second. And then at the end of the second period, how many times have I said this? You can't give them up late because they come back. What is the rule of thumb? You don't give them up late. You don't give them up early. And you can't give them up on the power play, or shorthanded. And they're the cardinal rules of hockey. And the Flyers tonight gave up a late one in the second. Backlund his eighth to tie things up at 1-1 heading into the third period. And then a plethora of activity kind of late. Well, at the 7:29 mark, Dennis Gilbert will give the Calgary Flames a 2-1 lead. And then, as I said, a very tight offensive game turned into kind of a shootout there at the end. At 14:29, Kadri would score his 10th to give it a 3-1 Calgary lead. And then Bobby Brink with his 7th at 16:36 to get the Flyers close to 3-2. They would yank the goalie, or they actually, I think the goalie was out at this point too. But then Blake Coleman at 17:42 would make it 4-2 on the empty netter. But then Igor Zamula would get things really interesting at 18:38, his 3rd of the year, to cut things to 4-3. The Flyers threatened late, a couple of offensive flurry there at the end. But at the end of the day, they just couldn't muster it, and that was your final 4-3 as the Flyers fall tonight in Calgary. For the team stat numbers, the Flyers were outshot again on this night, and that's really not really cool. 33-31. But they once again out-faced off a team, and that's a great stat to be seeing lately. 34-25 for a 57% effective rate on the face-off. This is something that's been a very new trend, a pleasant new trend. The Flyers are being more dominant on their face-offs. I mentioned Sean Couturier the other day earned Flyers star recognition from me because of his outstanding work against Vancouver. On the power play, the Flyers are 0-4. Calgary was 0-2, so the Flyers kill off 2 more penalties to continue that good trend for them. They blocked 15 shots. They took the puck away 9 times, and they gave it away 5 for your totals of the night. So 4-3 is what you have as the Flyers fall tonight on this New Year's Eve. And is there, there's no moral victories. And this was definitely, again, this is not one of those games where you feel good about the Flyers losing. That's one of those games you got to have, man. The Flyers had this. They had the shot. They had a chance in this game, but they could not, as I mentioned, get the offensive horses, which they lack, to get over the finish line as they lose tonight 4-3. Let's now do our Flyers Stars of the Night here on the show. All right, my 3 Flyer Stars of the night. My number 3 star for the evening. I'm going to give it to an unsung Flyer guy who's been really struggling. Cam Atkinson. I'm going to give it to him. He hasn't scored a goal in about 30 years, but he continuously. He got a point tonight in the assist. Really snake bit. And he had an opportunity early in this game, but it's not stopping him from. Sorry about that. I'm having massive issues over here. It's not stopping him, though, from being very active offensively. 7 shots tonight. He did register an assist. As he continues to try to fight his way back into the offensive score sheet, I'm going to give Cam Atkinson my number 3 star of the night. And my number 2 star, Igor Zamula, who's been turning it on offensively lately. A goal tonight. He did finish the night on the plus side 3 with only 1 shot. So, again, when you're a defenseman and you finish the night plus 3, that's pretty good. You're doing something right. So I'm going to give Igor my number 2 star, and my number 1 star of the evening, I'm going to give it to Bobby Brink, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite players. Brink with a goal in the night, 4 shots, and finishes with a +1. So there you have my 3 Flyer stars of the night: Cam Atkinson, Igor Zamula, and Bobby Brink. I hope you enjoyed that. That was it was hard to kind of pull that out. And that little segment was brought to you tonight on the program by the Cherry Law Firm. Remember, for workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, Dave Cherry at 610-565-0300 for all those questions and more. Let's take a look around now at the NHL on your New Year's Eve. Some earlier games. Flyers, I think, was one of the later games, if not the latest game of the night. Let's talk with some of the games that have gone final. 3-2 Jets over the Wild. Boston 5-3 over Detroit. Ottawa 5-1 over Buffalo. Penguins 3-1 over the Islanders. Lightning knocked down the Canadiens 4-3. The Stars all over the Blackhawks 8-1. Avalanche over the Sharks 3-1. Edmonton over Anaheim 7-2. Was that 7-2? And of course, the Flyers fall tonight. It's 4-3 to the Calgary Flames, thus wrapping up one more game now as they will wrap up this Western Canadian trip on Tuesday in Edmonton. And folks, before I say adios for the year, I remind you of Sherry Tickets, Sherry Ticket Town. Great prices, no hidden fees for sports, concert, and theater. www.sherrystickets.com. Save an additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10, and they will take the best ticket prices around. And don't forget Philly Sports Trips for all your traveling needs. They got some stuff going on for spring training. Of course, there's the trip out there to London. And then, of course, this big one for all the Flyer fans out there, the Stadium Series Devils, February 17th, down there at MetLife. Head over to Philly Sports Trips for all that information. That is going to wrap us up. We will be back on Tuesday. It'll be Pat on the call as he will wrap up this Western Canadian trip for you. Until then, listen, from the bottom of my heart, from your family or from my family to include my EOP family, I want to wish everybody out there a happy new year. We're a little less than an hour, about 54 minutes away from 2024. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. Go out there and enjoy yourself. Have a safe, happy New Year's Eve and a very safe, happy New Year. Until we talk again next, so I talk to you again, will be sometime this week, I think. From the immortal words of Mr. Gene Hart, good night, good hockey, and happy, happy, happy New Year.